Every stock I own is a high yielder. So this month I did something that, on paper, looks like a mistake. I took the biggest single chunk of money I have ever put in and spent almost all of it on the lowest yielding stock in the whole portfolio, a yield of just 4%, on purpose. 4 months in, and I am convinced it is the most important buy I have made, the one that pays me the least. Stay to the end and I will show you why. So here is where 4 months and £800 has got me, a portfolio worth a little over £840, 5 stocks and a dividend income on track for around £48 a year, up from a flat zero back in April. Just a quick one before we carry on. This is not financial advice. I am documenting my own investing journey. Always do your own research before you put money in. But first, a quick recap of where things stood. By the end of last month, I had 4 stocks and £600 invested. Legal and General out in front, my biggest position and best performer. And the first dividend of my life, £7.36, had landed and been reinvested. The snowball had started to turn. This month, the prices were quiet. Not much moved either way. And no new dividend landed. That £7.36 is still the only payday so far. But that changes in a matter of weeks. Because the real move this month was not a price or a payout. It was a decision. My usual £200, except this month I had more to spend. £233. Here is why. I only ever buy whole shares, so most months a few pounds are left over, not enough for another share, and they just sit as cash. Those leftovers had quietly built up to around £30. So this month I had that, plus my usual 200, and I wanted all of it working, so the question became, where? When I looked honestly at what I own, more than half my money sits in 2 insurers. Add a defensive aristocrat and a value retailer that moves with the economy, and a pattern jumps out. It is all relatively high yield, and almost all of it would suffer in the same bad year. There was a gap. I had nothing genuinely, deliberately boring. And I know the obvious objection. I had it myself. Surely you want the highest yield you can get? More income per pound? For a while I thought so too, but a high yield you cannot rely on is worth less than a lower one you can set your watch by. A dividend that gets cut does not just cost you income. It usually cracks the share price at the same time. So what I was missing was not more yield. It was certainty. Income that turns up whether the economy is booming or flat on its back. So here is the stock. National Grid. It owns the wires and the pipes, the electricity and gas network that runs across the country. Switch anything on and the power moves across infrastructure. National Grid is paid to run. It is a regulated monopoly, about as far from exciting as a FTSE 100 company gets. And that is precisely the point. The yield is around 4%. Lower than everything else I own, but it is the most predictable 4% in the portfolio. So let me give you the case, both sides. Its income is largely set by a regulator, not by how the high street is feeling. People do not stop using electricity in a recession, so demand barely flinches. And it moves differently to my insurers and my retailer, so it steadies the whole portfolio. The honest catch? Growth is slow. And a couple of years ago, it reset its dividend lower to raise money for the grid. I am not pretending it is flawless, but for the job I need filling, it is a strong fit. The full deep dive is coming soon. Quick one, then straight back to it. If you want to follow this journey, a real UK dividend portfolio built month by month, the best thing you can do is subscribe and come along. You will not miss an update, and it genuinely helps the channel keep going. Right, the buy. So I put nearly all of it to work, at around £12 a share that bought me 19 shares of National Grid, with about £3 left over rolling into next month as always. There's one honest note I want to flag though. I bought just after the company went ex-dividend, so I have missed its next payment. My first income from National Grid will not land until around January. I did not buy it for the next payout, I bought it for the next 10 years. So here is where month 4 leaves things. 5 stocks, £800 in, and up around 6% before a single dividend. The forward run rate has climbed to roughly £48 a year, from nothing back in April. But the part I am most pleased with is not the income. It is that the portfolio no longer all leans the same way. Before National Grid, everything I owned would have felt the same bad year at the same time. Now, one part keeps paying when the rest struggles. That is diversification, and it is what stops one bad year sinking everything. So here is the month ahead, and this is where the income starts moving. Late July, my second dividend lands, about £3.50 from B&M. I have already locked that one in by holding past its ex-dividend date, the cutoff you have to own a stock before to qualify for the payment. Another is coming, I am watching. BATS goes ex-dividend on the 9th of July, so as long as I keep holding, that payment is mine too, in August. The same cutoff I just missed on National Grid, which is why its first payout waits until the new year. Add Legal and General in September and the shape is clear. From a portfolio that paid nothing 2 months ago, there is now a dividend landing every few weeks, building toward what every income investor wants, a payment in every month of the year. And that is what next month is really about. The income starting to arrive, for real. And just a quick practical note, since people always ask how I do this. I invest through Trading 212. The link in the description is a referral, so we both get a free fractional share. Only use it if it suits you. And that is the real shift this month. Starting out, every instinct screams, chase the biggest yield on the screen. This was the month I stopped doing that. On purpose. That is month 4. The first genuinely boring holding in the portfolio, on purpose. There is still one big thing I want to dig into on National Grid, though. It is pouring money into upgrading the grid, and I want to know whether that is a risk to the dividend or the very thing that grows it. That is the full deep dive coming soon. If you want to follow a real UK dividend portfolio all the way to a real income, subscribe. A new episode every week. And tell me below, when you pick a stock, are you chasing the yield or the certainty? I genuinely want to know. Until next time, happy investing.